Tenant Board, as I like to call it, Judge Judy's more polite Canadian cousin. Let's get serious for a second. The Landlord and Tenant Board is a provincial tribunal responsible for resolving disputes between, surprise, landlords and tenants on matters relating to eviction, applications, and non-profit cooperatives. It operates under the Residential Tenancies Act of 2006 and helps enforce the legal rights and obligations of both parties. It provides services like adjudication, mediation, aiming to fairly resolve issues like evictions, unpaid rent, and property damage, amongst other things. The Landlord-Tenant Board's policy goals are to prevent unlawful evictions, regulate residential rents, provide efficient dispute resolution, balance the rights of landlords and tenants. As per Section 169 of the RTA, board members are appointed by the Lieutenant Governor and Council for up to 3 years, and they can be reappointed. Everything starts by submitting the correct form, which you can find on the Landlord-Tenant Board section of the Tribunal's Ontario website. It's like counseling, but with more paperwork.
I need to go to the Landlord and Tenant Board.
I am having some issue with my landlord. I used to pay my rent with post-date check, but the landlord started to cash them out before the due date. When I found out, I had an argument with the landlord, and during the argument, she asked me to move out from my unit. When I was out of town, the landlord decided to change the locks, and I wasn't expecting that. So the Landlord and Tenant Board ordered an immediate order to the landlord so I can regain access to my unit. But the landlord decided to ignore the order, so I had to go to the enforcement law office and request to the sheriff so I can get access again to the apartment. The sheriff granted my request, so when I went with the locksmith to check my apartment, I found out that my furniture, my belongings were all gone. This is very hard for me because where should I go now? I don't have access. I don't have money. Everything like my deposit check that I was giving to my landlord, she took all the money. So I'm spending another places to stay, and I would like to have a reward on my money. What should I do? Because I spent on the locksmith so I could access the apartment. I have to buy again my furniture. All my belongings are gone, and I'm emotional and in distress. You know, it is hard for me. What can I do? I need some remedies. I need help. I need my money back.
So, do you want to hear about the soup of the day, or?
Who can help?
We can help. We're paralegals with the LTB.
The board can award you with overpaid rent,
Expenses from the lockouts,
general damages,
bank fees,
illegal charges.
and fee reimbursements. The board emphasizes that $2,500 is a typical base amount for general damages. For legal lockouts, without aggravating factors.
But just to be sure, let's call a friend.
Oh! I know what it's like to be unlawfully evicted. That's why I went to the LTB. Alrighty. You take it easy now. Love you. I don't even know who that was. Now, let's break down the remedies available through the board and what happens if you want to challenge a decision. For landlords, the Residential Tenancies Act, RTA, allows for compensation if tenants don't vacate on time, rent is unpaid, there are damages or interference with use of the unit or rental property. We don't discriminate. For tenants, Sections 48.1, 49.1, 52, 54, and 55 outline rights to compensation in cases like illegal evictions or withheld utilities. According to Section 210.1 of the RTA, appeals will go to the divisional court. You have 30 days to file, and appeals must be on a question of law, not just because you disagree. The court has the opportunity to affirm, rescind, or amend these decisions, and of course, they could just send it back to the tribunal as well. Remember, you need to know what remedies and decisions you want. Otherwise, landlords or tenants can take away your belongings just like that.
And then he asked me, am I gonna get evicted?
I don't know, read the statute.
Michael, nice to see you again.
It's Kat.
Good one, Mike.
Please be seated. Procedural fairness. Procedural fairness is the backbone of any administrative tribunal, including the LTV. There are two non-negotiable principles: the right to be heard and the right to an unbiased decision maker. These are grounded in common law and further outlined in the Ontario Statutes, Powers and Procedures Act. Hearings must follow these principles even if the process is in writing. In Baker v. Canada, the Supreme Court listed key factors that determine how much fairness is required. This includes the seriousness of the decision, whether there's an appeal mechanism, the expectations on the person affected, and the discretion given to the decision maker. The LTV has its own rules of procedures and practice directions to guide hearings. These are all publicly available on their website, which is actually super organized. Unlike my mailbox, fairness. It's not just for soccer games. My colleague will now explain how this applies to this case. I'm done. Oh, next.
Oh yeah, baby. Ricky Bobby in the house. What time is it? Oh, it's Baker time. It's Baker versus Canada, and the SCC decided that the following principles apply to each decision-making body. The nature of the decision, the position in quasi-judicial making process. That's the process. Part 12 of the RTA. Multiple sections outlining requirements for achieving procedural fairness. That's fairness. Section 182 to 214 define what falls under the Act. I'm on the Act. What kind of notice is required by the parties? How notice is delivered, appeal rights, and payments. Get that dough. As per Section 165, sub 555, the board shall make the rules, guidelines, and approval forms available to the public so you can see. In the following provisions, the board made the rules of procedure documents available to the public, that's you and me. Therefore, individuals may review any rules, time limits, or forms, have the resources, the money, available in simpler language than the act itself. Gotta read it. Just read it. When the enabling statute of decision-making body does not allow for appeals, the fairness standard is heightened. We need to raise it, folks. The RTA does allow for an appeal to be commenced within 30 days, 1 month, of the decision being sent to the parties. Time is running out. The impact of the decision on the affected person must be considered, and thus, level of fairness varies accordingly. Are you fair? Are you unfair? Judges may decide the level of fairness that is appropriate for the specific matter before the Landlord and Tenant Board, LTB. We know what it is. If a party is facing imminent eviction, the level of fairness will be extremely high. That means you out. They're seeking compensation for renovations. Yeah. Oh, you gonna wait. Whether or not the person affected expects a specific process, they'll have to say it. Tell the adjudicator, say, hey, this is what I want. Last but not least, it's the level at which the legislator grants the decision-maker freedom to choose its own procedure. That's right. Under Section 184, Sub 1 of the SPPA, it applies to board proceedings, with the exception of subsection 5.1 Sub 2 and Sub 3, 1, 2, 3. Concerning applications under Sections 124 Sub 1, Section 132, and 133 within the RTA. According to the SPPA, Section 5.1 Sub 2 states the tribunal shall not hold a written hearing if a party satisfies the tribunal. There's good reason for not doing so. Don't do it. And Section 5.1 Sub 3 states, in a written hearing, all the parties are entitled to receive every document that the tribunal receives in the proceeding. Everything. Consequently, the board falls under the provisions of the SPPA. It can be used to determine further requirements needed to start a proceeding, and it outlines the rules and exceptions stated above. And that's a wrap, baby. Well, hello there, everyone. This is Mark here with Mark's Tips and Quirks. We are going to show you today on how to access the LTB, which is the Landlord and Tenant Board. So come on for the ride. It's going to be a fun time. And give me a smile, okay? Oh, sorry. You weren't supposed to. Yep. Don't Google that. Actually, you are going to want to type in here, tribunalsontario.ca. Of course, select the language of your preference. And you're going to go into the tribunal webpage, click on Landlord and Tenant Board. Look at that blue, eh? It's just gorgeous. Once you reach the Landlord and Tenant Board, you're going to scroll down, all the way down. You know the little mouse on your wheel there? Yeah, you're gonna scroll down on that and then hit this link over here, preparing for a hearing. And then you're gonna have the application and hearing process. You're gonna click that blue box right there. And then when you go into this webpage, you're gonna see laws, rules, and decisions. You're gonna hit the laws, rules, and decisions. You know, it's so funny. And then you're gonna scroll down, keep scrolling down, and then you're gonna hear the RTA, Residential Tenancies Act. And you're actually not gonna hit that, so don't hit that. You're actually gonna wanna hit the Statutory Powers Procedures, SPP, that's the one we want. No, that's not. Oh, okay, sorry, no. We don't want that one actually. We're gonna go down to the rules. Yes, the rules, that's the one, the rules. You're gonna hit that, and you're gonna see the rules of procedure. And keep scrolling down. A lot of scrolling today. So we're gonna learn how to scroll together, okay? So keep scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. Keep scrolling. And we're gonna go all the way to, we're back at the rules. Look at that. Yeah, a little all over the place here. Sorry, just 2 coffees in here. We're actually gonna go down to the guidelines. Yeah, hit the guidelines. And we're not gonna hit the guidelines. No, we're gonna keep scrolling. You see a recurring theme? When in doubt, scroll it out. Well, that's it. Well, there you go. That's the overview of the LTB and the website. I'll do it, folks. Please join me for Mark's Tips and Quirks on our next episode. We're going to talk about, I don't know, immigration probably. All right, have a good day.
Who can help?
We can help. We're paralegals with the LTB.
Cat, you're killing us here.
Procedural fairness.
We don't know anything about that. We haven't learned anything about that.
We're recording. Yeah. We can.
Fairness. Soccer games.